Welcome back to Fantasy or Reality, the Gambling Problem Podcast. My name is Steve, the host of this show, and the last time I placed a bet was May 2nd of 2021. How you all doing today? Good? I'm doing good too. Thanks for asking. So there's a few things I would like to talk about today. First, I will start off by giving a little bit of an announcement. This is really only going to pertain to people who are in the Capital District of New York, Saratoga Springs, Albany, all that. I'm going to be starting a problem gambling in-person support group at a recovery center called Healing Springs. It is in Saratoga Springs, New York at 125 High Rock Ave, Saratoga Springs, New York, 12866. The first meeting will be April 5th at noon. That will be a Saturday. I'm going to be trying to do this every other Saturday or every Saturday. I will be putting out the dates for that on here as the time goes on, and I'll be keeping you updated on how that's going. So hopefully I will see some of you there. I'm looking forward to doing that because honestly, my entire recovery has been based on online programs, which have been fantastic, and I've met some fantastic people. But I've always missed that in-person recovery bit and in-person meetings. And as great as GA has been for a lot of people, and I'm glad it's out there, GA never really worked well for me. And I'm hoping that with this meeting that I'm going to be starting, it's going to be a non-12-step problem gambling support group. I'm going to kind of model it a little bit after one of the online groups I was in for the first probably 2 years I was in recovery. So I'm really hoping that goes well. Hoping that we can get some people there, and I will let you know how that goes. But other than that, I'm here to talk about the weight of a gambling addiction. This has just been on my mind a little bit from listening to other podcasts, from others who have done, other... I apologize. Let me restart that. Listening to other podcasters like the After Gambling podcast and All In the Addicted Gamblers podcast. And then honestly, after going to the New York Council on Problem Gambling's conference and hearing some people talk, just remembering the weight of a gambling addiction and how difficult that can be to overcome, and just how hard it is to deal with a gambling addiction, and just how it creeps up on us so slowly. And a good way I like to think about it is it's almost like having a backpack on, right? And you're first, you're just going on a normal walk, right? You're just walking down a flat, straight path with an empty backpack. And then you place your first bet, and that first bet is just one little pebble you're putting in that backpack. And slowly, over time, at least, I'll just use it as an example for myself and others that have had similar stories and that I've talked to. You place a bet for whatever the reason is, whether it's a money thing or it's a boredom thing or it's an excitement thing or whatever your reason is for placing that first bet. It's just like putting that first pebble in that backpack. And as time goes on, you get that first big win, and then there's another bigger rock that goes in your backpack. And after that first big win comes the losses, and now you're losing money, and there's another pebble going in your backpack, another rock going in. It's getting heavier and heavier. The path is becoming a slight uphill climb now, and before you know it, now you're taking out loans or you're maxing out credit cards, and now your backpack is getting fuller and fuller, and it's harder and harder to carry, and the hill is getting steeper and steeper and steeper. And before you know it, that backpack is full. Now you can't pay these bills. There's no way to get the money anymore to continue to continue to bet. And the lies are starting to mount up, and now you don't know what to do. And now the backpack is so heavy and the straps are so tight that you cannot get it off anymore. And I know if you're listening to this podcast, you are probably someone who's been in that situation where you are now climbing up a sheer rock face wall straight up with a full backpack that you cannot get off, and you do not know how you got here. It's as if you're waking up in a bad dream where you're 1,000 feet up on a mountain face with a full backpack and no rope, and you're like, how did I get here? And we think that we're going to be able to just like reach behind us and start taking these stones out and trying to fix this on our own. And anybody who's been through a gambling addiction knows that we cannot do this on our own. Even if we can get back to zero, if we can get bailed out or somehow win the money to pay off our debts, that's not going to stop it for us. Think about how many times you've won big or have gotten enough money to, whatever your number in your head was, and how many times did you lose that, or how many times did you think you needed to go past that? Because after all this time reflecting and thinking about gambling and gambling addiction, it's like, when you're an addicted gambler, the money is just the drug. I mean, it's just the means to an end. It doesn't, you think that $50,000, right, or $10,000, or whatever the number is in your head that you think you need. Once you get it, you think you can get more. And then even if you lose it, you think you can do it again. And that backpack, it's always staying full. It's always weighing you down. And after a while, that money just becomes the means to continue to keep on gambling. And it's so difficult to try to do that on your, to try to stop on your own. And after all these years of talking to people, all these years, it's been almost 4 years, which I think is a pretty good accomplishment. And I'm so happy it's been 4 years, but I'm grateful for where I'm at today. I'm looking forward to 5 years, 10 years, and hopefully continuing on in this space, talking about gambling addiction and recovery and what we can do to help one another. But it's so scary, the situations that we can get ourselves into as problem gamblers, and it happens so quickly, or it can happen over time, right? But you don't even realize that you're there until it's, you don't even realize it's a problem. And at least I didn't recognize it to being a problem until it was too late, till that backpack was already full, and there was no way for me to fix it on my own. And looking back on, even if I had gotten myself back to zero, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have kept going. I would have kept feeling the desire to continue to gamble, to continue to chase the money, to continue to chase the losses. There's an article from northwell.edu, Northwell Health. It's titled, "The Normalization of Gambling is Fueling Addiction." And one of the things here it says is, we're seeing individuals face foreclosures and tremendous debt because they're using mortgage, rent, and grocery money to place bets. They're fearful and without hope as their relationships splinter, not only from the financial wreckage, but from the accompanying conditions from which gamblers also suffer: anxiety, depression, and substance use disorders. Nearly 40% of people with a gambling disorder will consider suicide. And it's crazy how much that has grown over these few years with the legalization of sports betting. How many more people are calling in for help? How many more people are, losing so much more quicker? And for a lot of us, it was a slow burn. For me, it took some time to really ramp up the amount of money I was betting and the amount of money I was losing. But it's happening so much quicker now. But I mean, this really hits home. People are using their mortgage, rent, grocery money to place bets. I mean, the amount of people I've talked to who are using everyday household expenditures to try to win, whereas you first started with a $5 bet or a $10 bet, right? It's like, in our minds, it's like buying a cup of coffee, or it's like, buying a ticket to go see your favorite band or something like that, right? But before you know it, it could be within a week, it could be within a year, you're starting to use money that you should be using for other things. You're starting to take out debt to continue to gamble, to try to chase these losses. And the scary thing is that it's 40% of people with a gambling disorder will consider suicide. It's a scary thing. So the weight of an addiction, the weight that we feel when we've gotten ourselves in so deep, we just don't know what to do. We don't know how to ask for help. And we're so scared that if we do ask for help, that we're going to lose everything. We're not even just the money. We're at least for myself, I felt like if I did not fix this on my own, I was going to lose my wife. I was going to lose my kids. I was going to lose everything. And honestly, at the end, I felt that's what I deserved. I didn't even feel like I deserved my wife. I didn't feel like I deserved my kids. I felt like I was a failure as a father. I was a failure as a husband. I never got to that suicide point, but so many people will get there. So I'm happy to see that there are so many more avenues for help these days. That was one of the things we were talking about at the conference, is the different pathways to recovery. And that's why I'm starting this meeting. I'm glad that there are different ways for different people to recover, because on the panel that were up there talking, 3 problem gamblers who were in recovery, each one was detailing what they do for themselves to stop, what they did to stop the gambling, what they did to help themselves begin to recover. And one person was saying that GA and therapy didn't work for them. It was the one-on-one peer-to-peer services that helped them, while another person said the complete opposite. They said GA is what helped them, and working with a therapist for about 1.5 years is what helped them. For myself, it was online groups that were support groups similar to the one that I'm going to start very shortly here. One-on-one therapy, listening to podcasts, starting this podcast, and that is what helped me. So I'm glad to see that there are so many more pathways and options for recovery. When in the past it was pretty much just GA, and from talking to people who went to therapy earlier, years before, gambling wasn't really discussed. It was the behavioral addictions were seen in a different light. I mean, I can't say that for everyone, and I'm sure there are some therapists that may not be trained to deal with gambling addiction. I got lucky that my first one helped me so much with my gambling addiction, and overcoming that and figuring out the reasons, like the underlying reasons as to why I gambled, why I had addiction, why I had these self-esteem and self-image issues. And I just got lucky. But I would suggest that if you're trying one-on-one therapy, don't give up on it after the first one. If they're not helping you, if you're still gambling, if you feel like they don't understand what you're talking about, just try another therapist. There are so many good therapists out there, that you can access through all these different services like BetterHelp. I know that there are other ones out there. If you can't find one in your local area, I would definitely suggest trying that. If that doesn't work for you, that's okay. Continue to try other pathways for recovery. But, coming back to the weight of the addiction, I cannot emphasize enough how much it felt like I had this huge boulder sitting on top of me, or this backpack just filled with hundreds of pounds that were so tight around my shoulders I could not get it off. And it happened before I knew it. And sorry, I feel like I'm rambling here, and I apologize for that, but I feel like so many of us just start off thinking it's going to be something fun, or it'll be a quick way to make an extra buck, and before you know it, that backpack is full and it's ripping at your shoulders. It's like, for me, it was just placing a bet and not telling my wife I was going to do it. It was me thinking I was going to win the money because I had success in the past at my season-long, leagues. I thought that I could just win this money, present it to my wife, and all would be good. And before I knew it, I won a little bit, I lost a little bit, maxed out a credit card. My wife caught me once, said I was going to stop, and stopped for a year thinking that I was never going to go back to it. But then again, because I never dealt with the actual issues, once more financial issues arose and we bought our home, and it really triggered me because I never dealt with the underlying issues, and I went back to gambling 10 times harder, and it happened much quicker that time. And that backpack, it just started tearing at my shoulders. And I was so scared I was going to lose everything, that I kept trying to reach around and take the stones out on my own, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And even if I stopped adding to the weight of the backpack, I stopped for a week, or I stopped for a month, or whatever time period I could stop, that weight was still there because I still had all the lies that I had built up. I still had all the money I had lost, all the guilt and the shame. So as hard as it may be, reach out for help. because you're going to need somebody. You're going to need people in your life, whether it's your spouse, your parents, your family members, support group members. Those are the ones that are going to help start taking those stones out of that backpack, can relieve some of that stress, can relieve the weight and the burden that we feel when we're in the middle of a gambling addiction. And we cannot do it on our own. So I can't stress enough to reach out for help. As difficult as it is, as hard as it is, as painful as those first few months and first year or so might be, I promise you it gets better. So I cannot stress enough to ask for help. Unfortunately, I didn't ask for help. My wife caught me, but I'm so grateful she caught me when she did, because I know it would have just gotten worse, and I would have kept trying to fix the issue on my own. But I know others who have reached out for help, and as difficult as it is for them, they are getting better. The people in their life are taking those stones out, taking that weight off, and slowly, before you know it, that backpack will be empty again, and you can start filling it up with good things, good memories, a good life. You can be the best version of yourself. You can be the best man. You can be the best husband. You can be the best wife, father, whatever, whoever you are. You don't always have to be stuck in this. We don't have to always be stuck, addicted to gambling, addicted to anything. But gambling has destroyed so many people. And I just want to let you know that life can get better. And I feel like I say that a lot, but I think it's important to really hit home that, like, I was an addicted gambler. I never thought there was any hope. I looked in the mirror and I hated who I saw. But today I can look at myself, I can respect who I see, I can love who I see. And I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a good father. I know I'm a good husband. And it's all because even though I got caught, I was the one after that started asking for help. I reached out, went to some meetings, listened to podcasts, took this as seriously as I could, because I could not feel that anymore. I didn't want to feel that anymore. And we're lucky that there's help out there, and there are people out there that want to help. There are so many good people out there who've dedicated their life to helping, so reach out to them. You know, obviously we need to talk to our family and our friends, but there are so many good clinicians and social workers and peer-to-peer services out there. These people, they want to help. They're good people. You see them at these conferences. I met them at this conference. They care. They work hard every day going into schools and recovery centers and clinical offices and settings to learn about this addiction, listen to us, find out what helps. There's so many good people out there. So make the phone call. Look up your resources in your local area. There are so many things that I talked about that can help you. Other than that, I think that's going to be it for today. I apologize if I was a little rambly here. It was just something that I was just thinking about this morning. I'm kind of just sitting here waiting right now at work and thought I'd record something soon, record something now. So I appreciate you guys listening. I will keep those in my area updated on the meeting and how it goes and any further meeting dates. But other than that, you all take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.